An apex elder dragon that lost its way due to its own hunger and its own, well, fall to temptations due to the hero, Primordial Malzeno honestly was a great protector to people and honestly defended them with its life. But what if, right, he never succumbed to the hero? What if basic Malzeno was never born? What if it was never created? What if it never succumbed to the Kiro? You see, this is one of the few points in Monster Hunter where it could have changed for the better, as Primordial Malzeno was a knight, a apex elder dragon that was capable of defending humanity through all sorts of threats, a nature regulator, if you will, but for humankind. But what if instead of giving into that temptation, it did what it was supposed to do after learning its lesson? It found its way to not only combat the Kiro, but to flat out dismember them, destroy them, get rid of them, and never succumb to that temptation again. What if Primordial Malzeno was never corrupted in the first place? So this is actually going to be a prequel series to what if Bayonetta was in Marvel vs. Capcom Infinity. Yes, I know y'all see the image, y'all see all that cake. I don't want to hear nothing. So without further ado, please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends, and let's begin. We start off in Kimura Village, where the resident hunter is pretty much getting ready for their first rampage. They've been building up to it, and the local hunter, that being Fiorin, and yes, I'm gonna have Fiorin kind of play the role as the main hunter here, because why not? I mean, come on, we gotta use somebody here, right? And so Fiorin is actually preparing herself for the rampage. But we would then go back to the destroyed castle, where Malzeno is just simply awakening. He senses something, and it's very disturbing. A storm is coming, but he doesn't know quite what it is. And so, following the energy signature, which he can actually do, because again, elder dragons can sense energy, and you know, apex elder dragons like him and Nergigante are absolute masters at tracking this down. So he would actually be able to fly up and track down this energy. However, this is where he flies above something and he gets closer and closer to it. However, when he sees the object, it makes him freeze for a minute, but he realizes what it is and then dives down at it, claw first, and then simply tackles the elder dragon into the ground, with the creature roaring and revealing itself to be Ibushi, one of the storm dragons. And Malzeno roars at it angrily, asking it, what is it doing here? Why is it in this region? It shouldn't be here. And Ibushi is not having it. He wants to find his mate. He doesn't care what he has to do. And well, his storm does kind of continue past him. And this is where he and Malzeno get into a battle. Now, concerning Malzeno is, or Primordial Malzeno is the strongest of the Rise or Sunbreak roster, I'm going to say that this fight doesn't take him too long. He's faster, more skilled, more intelligent, and, well, his wings provide better defense than anything Ibushi could muster. So, he not only charges through one of Ibushi's wind blasts, but manages to basically back wing slap him, uppercut him, and then pointing the narrow tips of his wings, slashes right down on his head, sending Ibushi crashing into the ground. Ibushi gets up and tries to use a dragon element boosted attack. However, Malzeno sees this coming, and well, he does something kind of similar to a Pokemon. He flies right up all the way to the point where he could be barely seen in the sun, and dives right down and simply headbutts Ibushi, smacking him right into the ground and sending him tunneling into an underground lair. Malzeno kind of looks around and he's like, he's not there. He'll probably show up again, and if he does, well, I'll just simply take care of him after that. But so Malzeno actually goes off, because right now he's hungry. We would then pan over to a Demo Hermiter feasting on a Acnosom it had just scavenged or just killed. And so it actually hears a growl and looks up, and the last thing it sees is a huge claw coming right down at it, and then there's a sickening, and I mean a very sickening scrunch or a crunch or splat or slash. It's dead. And Malzeno, well, gets a 2-for-1 special, eating the Acnosom and eating the Daimo Hermiter. And, well, he's kind of sitting there thinking, what's going on? What is happening? He still senses that weird energy, but he also senses something more to it. It's dragon-based, but there's something more to it. And he looks up and sees a glowing red comet going by. And he still senses that energy from it, but it's kind of weird. It's off. It's an elder dragon, but he doesn't know which one. And he takes off after it slowly. And when it starts to move faster, he then has to pick up the pace. And this is where he simply sees something. It changes course and begins to beeline it right for him. And, well, he realizes, like, oh, it's coming for me. And so he blocks it with his wings, but this does send him, crashing into the ground. And he actually sees that it's a crimson glowing Valstrex. And he looks at it confused because it has a different coloration. And so Malzeno circles it, as it well does the same thing. Both of them circling each other as he realizes something. And it actually makes him curious. It's enhanced, risen, a risen elder dragon. But why? What could have caused this? Elder dragons aren't normally enhanced to such a magnitude, but again, Malzeno understands that he has a job to do, and so he actually goes toe-to-toe with this crimson glow Valstrex. But he also notices something. It's stamina. It's far worse than what it was before when it actually does those dive bomb attacks. So Malzeno actually does something very interesting, and something that I think would be in character for him. He actually waits till Valstrex tries to dive bomb him, and then impales it on its wing when it actually gets close enough, basically utilizing his wings as a makeshift spear. And this actually drops it. However, 3 hooded figures appear and say that was amazing. You're exceeding our expectations very well. And Malzeno turns to them like, who was y'all? And so this is where he actually senses something off about them, a malevolent and vicious energy. And, well, he don't like it. Not at all. And then he tries to dive bomb them the same way he did the Hermitor, because again, he thinks, okay, they're small, they're pretty simple, this will be easy. However, the one on the left actually catches his punch and then rocks him right in the face, sending him back. He's able to grip his claws in the ground to where he's actually able to, withstand this. However, this is where one of the other hooded figures, I'll probably say the right side one, blasts him into the wall with a black energy. And this is where they simply state, you're not ready yet. But again, you will be. Once you know why we're here, you'll fully get all the answers you need. And so, the middle one snaps his fingers, and they simply teleport away. And Malzeno is visibly shaken by this, but right now, he has his own investigation to do. And this is where we actually see him approaching the risen carcass of the Valstrex. And he begins, I guess you could say, dissecting it in a way, tearing at it and moving the organs around, probably eating a little bit, but still trying to avoid eating any of the dragon element because it really doesn't need it. And so what he pulls out and then spits out actually looks very interesting to him. It's something he never thought he'd see in a long time, and maybe he really wishes he didn't. It's a Kuro, but it's not like any Kuro he's seen. It's stronger. It's more volatile or rich with energy, and it makes him curious as to what has happened since then. Where has everything gone? What has happened since he's been doing his job? Has he really forgotten Geismagorm that much? No, he couldn't have. He's been vanquished, right? No matter, he still has other things to do. And so as he flies off, we actually see the 3 hooded figures watching him, with the middle one saying, he's perfect. He'll be our perfect champion for when this new universe or this new world comes. And, well, we would then flash forward to Malzeno flying in the distance, he senses something off about the world. The dimensional, I guess you could say, barriers and stuff like that, or the energy around the world just simply feels off, especially here in this region. But this is where we fast forward to the Rampage, where we actually see the Kimura village getting slightly overwhelmed, unlike the original. And this is because the monsters seem a bit more agitated, more aggressive, and they're actually penetrating through the first layer of defense, something that they never thought would happen. And this actually does mean that the likes of Fiorin, Fugin, Hinoa, and Minoto are all pretty much kind of there just struggling. They're tired, they're exhausted, and these monsters are just vastly stronger than what they expected. For some reason, they're just way more aggressive than even their more aggressive and agitated states. And so they do manage to eventually push everyone back, killing any monsters that they can. But this is where something else appears. As they are trying to settle down, this is where they find themselves face to face with Magna Mallow, their very first encounter with it. And Fiorin actually steps forward, tired, exhausted, and in all honesty, on her last legs. But that doesn't matter. She has a job to do. She has a mission, a goal. She is going to try and slay this beast no matter what. And so she charges at it as the Magna Mallow drops the Azeroth it brought with him and does the same. And so the fight starts off with the Magna Mallow realizing she's tired, because again, it is an intelligent beast. He actually plays with her a little bit, utilizing his Hellfire balls, no diddy, and just straight up trying to, oh gosh, I realize how this is going to sound, hit her with them. And so Fiorin dodges, weaves, and even blocks some of them, but her blocks are more tired and weak. And the Magna Mallow sees this and begins starting to charge at her, testing her defenses. However, just before it could deliver the finishing blow, basically Malzeno comes down crashing into it, and this is where the two of them get into an intense turf war. And the battle is fierce, the battle is strong, it's very aggressive, but Malzeno proves to be the victor, beating down this Magna Mallow horrendously when it actually gets a firm grip with its tail and just starts working it, and forces it to retreat with its new injuries. Surely this won't come back to bite it, right? But anywho, Fiorin simply bows to the creature, as again, with Malzeno's much more better relationship with humanity still, it's respected, it's loved, and it's appeased. And so Malzeno does the same to Fiorin. And the other Kimura villagers, the soldiers and stuff, bow to it. And she says, Malzeno, you honor us with your presence. Perhaps we could give you a tribute. And Malzeno looks at her curiously. For some reason, he feels he's able to understand her. And this is where Malzeno begins to open its mouth. And Fugin's like, wait a minute, what is it doing? And this is where Malzeno actually speaks and states it would be an honor for him to work alongside the Kimura village. And that's where we're going to leave it off here, you guys. You guys already know what to do, and I'll see you guys later.